Okay, so welcome to Food in Sicily. This short presentation will give you a feel for the Maymester in Sicily. For Sicily is in the country of Italy. It's the largest island in the Mediterranean, and here's a typical landscape in the middle of the island. Here are some of the vineyards that we'll be visiting, and of course, the beach. The beaches are all stone and rocks, very few sand beaches. Here's a rather typical Sicilian fishing town, and the food that we'll be enjoying. We have special pastries and, of course, pasta. And these are some of the neighborhoods that we'll be visiting. The interesting thing about Sicily is the history of ancient civilizations and contemporary and medieval and Baroque architecture all mixed in one. Here we have Sicilian marzipan and some delicious pastries with strawberries. Marzipan is a key and important traditional sweet in Sicily. And the aim is, of course, to create marzipan fruits that mimic very closely their natural counterparts. And how can we forget gelato? Here are some olive trees, and we will be having an olive oil tasting while we're in Sicily. And here's a couple of students. We'll be seeing some students along the way. Scenes of visiting markets and picking up some sea creatures from a market as well. Here's another group of students at the University of Catania. And we can see also one student at the kitchens of the monastery that now is the University of Catania's humanities department. And so the kitchen was extremely elaborate, and you can see the mosaics, and it was huge to feed everyone in the monastery. And we have another photo here from a trip to Catania. Our program is based in Ortigia, which is about an hour south and on the coast. Catania is a fantastically interesting city, a Baroque city, and here we had a visit with a prince, a minor Italian nobility, even though noble titles are not used in Italy anymore. But we had a tour of his palazzo, and it was quite impressive, as you can see by the smiles of everyone on the group. It's great to hang out with a real prince. And so we have here some students enjoying lunch at one of the restaurants in Catania. This actually happened to be a donkey burger. Donkey is a meat. Donkey and horse are eaten in Sicily. But of course, on this program, no one has to eat anything they don't want to. It is an investigation of food traditions. We have wine tastings as well as the oil tastings. And we make cheese and pasta, and we venture to try different types of products to see how they fit into the traditional Sicilian foodways. We also visit the town of Taormina. Taormina is a very old, ancient Greek and Roman city. We go to the Roman amphitheater where actually from where the students are standing, you can see the mainland of Sicily. And also we have a beach day in Taormina after our tour. And as you can see from the photo, the beaches are pretty spectacular. As I mentioned, our tastings also include cheese. Here is a presentation to learn how one progresses through a cheese course, and also which wines accompany the flavors and types of cheese. And then we have also a discussion of chocolate. This is a Sicilian chocolate which was brought to the island by the Spanish. It's very different from what we traditionally think of, like, for example, Hershey's or Lindt. And so we learn about the process and why the process of making chocolate in Sicily still adheres to the Spanish tradition. Chocolate that we consume, such as Hershey's and Lindt, follows the conching process and tempering process that was invented, established by the French and the Swiss, actually. And this is our home base on the island of Ortigia. It's a very tiny island. It's only about 250 meters from the mainland of the city of Syracuse. And this is, let's call it the equivalent of the College Green, the Piazza del Duomo. And this is where, at the end of this piazza, we hold our classes and a lot of our activities with our partner institution. And then also around the corner, you can see the sea on one of the main very picturesque streets of this tiny island of Ortigia, where there is pedestrian walkways throughout and very limited auto traffic. We also spend a lot of time visiting markets to learn about fresh and seasonal foods and their role in traditional Sicilian cooking. One such marketplace is the very famous fish market in Catania, and you can see this way of selling fish is very different from the way we're accustomed to buying fish. And here we have the swordfish put on display for everyone to understand and appreciate the freshness of the fish, and also customers will indicate how much fish they want, and then it's cut there fresh for them. So we spend time going through this marketplace. It's not just for fish, but it gives a real fascinating overview of the types of products and the way shopping for food is undertaken in Sicily. As you can see, these are other market pictures. The chickens are hung up, and customers choose them in a much different way than we do in the United States. We have a gelato testing, and we also have pastry tastings. So here we have a student with a typical Sicilian pastry, which usually is in a much larger form. You may have heard of it, a cassata. This is a small mini one. It has a covering of marzipan with a sponge cake and cream inside. It's fantastic. And then we have our much loved cheese making activity. So the students spend a morning making both mozzarella and ricotta, and of course they get to enjoy for lunch the fruits of their labor, or rather the cheese of their labors. And that brings us to the conclusion of the presentation. You can see, again, a typical countryside in Sicily. And just to bring your attention to the fact that this program will take place May 6th to 26th. And for more information, please contact Dr. David Bell at beld@ohio.edu. Grazie.